I'm joined by the expert on all things Nevada, and it is the Nevada Independent CEO, Jon Ralston. All right, Jon, you've got so many people buzzing already about your predictions. You're like, Catherine Cortez Masto can hang on. The implication is Sisolak cannot. And I think you expect 2 of the 3 Democratic House incumbents to survive. Show your work. Tell me why.
Well, Chuck, I wish you hadn't brought these up, but now that I have to defend them, because this was a very difficult year, as you know, and the voting patterns in Nevada are very, very strange. But listen, the difference between Catherine Cortez Masto and Steve Sisolak, let's talk about the governor first, and that goes to everything that you just pointed out about Nevada. And I wouldn't say the cold flu analogy is right. I'd say it's cold pneumonia. Right? I mean, you have one trick pony economy here still, right, Chuck? You shut down the Las Vegas Strip, you crush the economy. The governor did that at the beginning of the pandemic, and he closed what he called non-essential businesses, and he's still suffering from that COVID hangover, as is the economy, even though, despite the numbers you put up, we've come back. I am just not sure when he is running against a guy who looks like a governor, the sheriff of Clark County, which, as you know, Chuck, is where all the Democratic votes are. If he can hold his own in Clark County, I think it's very difficult for the governor to survive. And Joe Lombardo, the sheriff of Clark County, is a much better candidate than Adam Laxalt, who was running against Catherine Cortez Masto, who was a very disciplined candidate who has run a really good campaign. That's about as much of my work as I can show you, Chuck.
Well, my skepticism on split tickets this year is due to polarization, that everybody's going home to their camps. And I'm seeing it in a whole bunch of other states. So the idea that there's a little bit of gap here somehow between Sisolak and Cortez Masto, I'm asking you, who is that voter? Is it a Clark County independent who likes Lombardo but just doesn't like Laxalt? Is that the pattern here?
Well, I think you've hit on it in the sense that, as you know, Chuck, there's been an explosion of non-major party voters here, and they're going to determine the election. There are going to be a few 100,000 of them voting in this election, and even the internal polling for the Republicans shows that there are Lombardo, Cortez Masto voters in Clark County. And so I think for everyone watching these elections, the first numbers that will pop up on election night will be the Clark County numbers, which is a huge part of the vote. A lot of early vote mail ballots will have been cast. And if those Democrats do not have a sizable lead, by the way, by sizable, I mean more than 8 points, then both of those races are going to be very, very close.
All right, we've been living in Clark. Let's go to Reno and Washoe. What can you tell me? Are they the decider this year? Is Washoe the true decider, not the Clark County firewall?
Yeah, it might be true, Chuck. It's interesting what's happened in Washoe County, as you know, last 2 cycles. Washoe, back in the old days, Chuck, when both of us were a lot younger, was a reliably red county. That's Paul Laxalt territory. But the Democrats have slowly eroded that. And the last 2 cycles, including the last midterm, Jackie Rosen, who's now a U.S. Senator, and Steve Sisolak, who's now the governor, both Democrats, they won Washoe County. The Democrats are doing pretty well in Washoe County in the early vote, and they believe that Steve Sisolak and Catherine Cortez Masto can win Washoe County. That's how they hang on.
I'm curious, do you think now Washoe is basically you can't win without winning Washoe?
I think if you're a Democrat running statewide and you have to endure the rural landslides that have been occurring in the last few cycles. Now, you can't, that doesn't offset the Clark County vote necessarily, but in a lower turnout year like a midterm, it could. And so if you're a Democrat and you lose Washoe County by a few points, Chuck, there's just no margin for error, which is why he said you got to watch that Clark County number when it comes up on election night. Anything less than double digits, it's going to be a close race. Biden is the first statewide Democrat in a major race in a long time to be under 10 points and still pull it out.
Jon Ralston, I have a feeling that it's going to be a long week, not just a long night for you. We'll be turning to you a lot to try to unpack what's going on as the vote count comes in. It's always good. The state of Nevada is lucky to have you as a resource. John, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.